Welcome to the deep dive. Today we've got a really fascinating set of sources in front of us. We're looking at some Japanese ideas, concepts, practices, all related to living a long and, a fulfilling life. We'll be leaning quite a bit on the book Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life.
That's right. It's a great starting point.
And our mission here really is to dig into this material, pull out the most important insights, maybe some surprising facts, and just distill it down into something you can really use. Think of it like getting up to speed on what this source says about finding purpose and, well, staying happy and healthy for the long haul.
And it's quite a mix of ideas, isn't it? The source covers finding your purpose, that Ikigai, but also delves into achieving flow, building resilience, even embracing imperfection. It's quite holistic.
Okay, let's jump right in then. The book kicks off with Ikigai. They call it a mysterious word, which is intriguing. But fundamentally, the insight seems to be it's about finding your purpose. That thing that makes you want to get out of bed.
Exactly. And what I found really interesting is how the source links this to Western psychology, specifically Viktor Frankl and logotherapy.
Ah, yes. Finding meaning.
Right. Logotherapy is all about that finding meaning as like a core human drive.
Yeah.
The book notes it might not be, everywhere in clinics today, but that basic human need for meaning, that's definitely still here.
That makes a lot of sense. And the book uses some really potent examples from Frankl's work to illustrate it, like the American diplomat. Hated his job.
Oh, yeah, that one.
His U.S. therapist was apparently stuck on some father figure issues. But Frankl just cut straight through it, didn't he? Showed him it wasn't about his dad at all. He just, needed a different career to find meaning.
Such a direct approach. It really gets to the core issue. Or think about the suicidal mother case.
Devastating situation.
Absolutely. Lost one child, caring for another who was paralyzed. Frankl had another woman in the group. Imagine being old and wealthy but childless. She felt like a failure. But when he asked the grieving mother to do the same, look back from her imagined deathbed.
She saw her life differently.
Completely. She saw life totally devoted to her children. She apparently just burst into tears and realized, my life was not a failure. Powerful stuff.
Wow. Just reframing it like that. And there was the doctor, too, grieving his wife.
Right. Frankl didn't dissect the grief itself. He asked, what if you had died first?
And the doctor said it would have been terrible for her.
Exactly. She would have suffered immensely. So Frankl said, essentially, you see, you spared her that. And the price you pay is surviving and mourning her. Finding meaning even in the pain itself.
So the big takeaway here seems to be that meaning isn't always about, big heroic acts. It can be found in suffering, in loss, in just everyday dedication.
Precisely. It's personal. It comes from your actions, your perspective. It's not something handed to you. It's something you uncover or even create for yourself.
Okay. So staying with that idea of engagement, let's talk about flow. The source dives into Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's work on this. That feeling of being totally immersed, right?
Yeah, completely absorbed, where your sense of self kind of fades and time just warps. You look up and hours have passed.
And the book argues that finding flow is actually crucial for an optimal life, for living your Ikigai.
Definitely. It's about figuring out what activities get you into that state, that effortless focus, and then, doing more of them.
So how do you actually get into flow? The book mentions researcher Owen Schaefer's conditions.
According to the source, Schaefer laid out 7 things. You need to know what you're doing, how you're doing, and how well it's going. If you're moving, you need to know where to go. And then, crucially, you need significant challenges, but also significant skills to meet them.
Both need to be high.
Both significant, yes. And the final one.
Yeah.
You absolutely need to be free from distractions.
Okay, that balance between challenge and skill, what if that's off?
Well, it just doesn't work. Too easy. You're bored. Apathy sets in. Too hard. You get anxious, frustrated. Flow lives in that sweet spot, where the challenge pushes you just a little bit beyond what you can easily do.
Stretching yourself.
Exactly. The book uses a reading analogy, like trying to read a super complex physics book, if you're not a physicist, way too hard. Reading a kid's book, way too easy. The right book pulls you in, because it's challenging but manageable.
Right. And it mentions needing a clear goal to start, but then kind of paradoxically, not obsessing over it once you're doing the thing, like the Olympic athlete example.
They're aiming for gold, obviously, but mid-race, they have to be totally focused on their breathing, their stride, the execution, not the medal ceremony. It's that compass over maps idea, have a direction, but be flexible enough to flow with the process.
And the enemy of all this focus?
Yeah.
distractions.
Oh, absolutely. Especially today with, phones buzzing, emails popping up, trying to multitask. The book cites that study,
Gotta
right?
be.
Where multitaskers actually got worse at ignoring irrelevant stuff, like the blue arrows,
Yeah, their brains are trained to notice everything.
which is the exact opposite of the deep focus needed for flow.
So the contrast is pretty stark. Distraction, less productive, bad memory, mistakes, stress. Flow, more productive, better retention, fewer mistakes, feeling in control, clarity. It actually feels good.
It really does. And the book suggests simple things like batching similar tasks or just creating a space, even for a short time, where you won't be interrupted.
And they even talk about microflow, right? Finding flow in like mundane stuff.
Yeah, I love that bit. The example of the smiling elevator operator in Tokyo, been doing it since 2004. Totally present, engaged in this repetitive task. It's about the mindset you bring.
That kind of focus and dedication. It links nicely to another Japanese idea the book covers, ganbaru.
Ah, yes, perseverance. Staying firm by doing one's best. It's tied into that cultural image of, well, being incredibly dedicated.
And the book connects this perseverance directly to achieving flow, especially with the takumis, the master artisans.
Right. That story about the Kumano brush factory, being taken to that hidden room where the woman was just painstakingly adding bristles by hand.
Incredible patience.
Exactly. That's flow sustained by Gamburu. Pure dedication.
And then there's the Jiro Ono example from Jiro Dreams of Sushi. 80 years making sushi, and his poor apprentice spending years just perfecting the omelet, the tamago.
Decades of focus. And what's amazing about Jiro and his son, according to the book, is they deliberately keep the restaurant tiny. 10 seats.
They choose the craft over expansion.
Precisely. Their priority is making the world's best sushi and maintaining that perfect environment for flow, not, building an empire.
The book also brings in Shintoism here, the idea that objects, even crafted ones, have a kami, a spirit.
Yeah, so the artisan in flow isn't just dominating the material, they're kind of becoming one with it, respecting its nature. It's a union of craft and, well, nature itself.
And that respect for nature, maybe for change, shows up in architecture too, like using wood, accepting impermanence.
Right. Unlike, say, Western cathedrals built of stone to last forever, Japanese tradition often embraces impermanence. Think of the Grand Shrine of Isis rebuilt every 20 years.
They rebuild the whole thing.
The whole thing. The value is in preserving the custom, the process, which is seen as more enduring than the physical wood. It ties into wabi-sabi, finding beauty in things that are imperfect, incomplete, transient.
Okay, so we've covered mindset, purpose, flow. But what about the physical side? The body? The source definitely emphasizes practices for longevity, like harhachibu.
The Okinawan practice. Fill your belly to 80%.
So stop eating when you're starting to feel full, not when you're totally stuffed.
Exactly. The idea presented is that overeating might speed up cellular oxidation, which contributes to aging. Makes sense intuitively, right? Don't overload the system.
And the way Japanese meals are often served lots of small plates, that helps.
It seems to, yeah. You get variety without huge portions of any one thing.
Yeah.
The book also lists antioxidant foods, many we know in the West: broccoli, chard, oily fish, citrus, berries, grains, olive oil, even red wine in moderation.
Standard healthy stuff. But it's not just what you eat, it's also about moving. Mens sana in corpore sano.
Sound mind in a sound body. Absolutely crucial. And the stats they share are pretty stark, aren't they? Metabolism slowing 90% after 30 minutes of sitting.
90%. And good cholesterol dropping after just 2 hours. That's wild.
It really drives home how bad being sedentary is. But the flip side, the good news, according to the source, is that it doesn't take much to help. That expert they quote, Gavin Bradley. Just getting up for 5 minutes makes a difference.
So simple, just break up the sitting time. And the book also talks about more structured movement, like those Eastern disciplines, yoga, qigong, tai chi.
Right. Practices from India and China that have been around for ages. Balancing body, mind, spirit. They mention things like the sun salutation in yoga, or the gentle movements of qigong aimed at circulating ki, vital energy, and shiatsu from Japan, using pressure and stretching.
And the common element seems to be linking movement with breath.
Yes, that's key. It's not just physical exercise. It's about being aware, being present. Focusing on your breath kind of anchors you in the here and now, stops your mind wandering off into worries.
Which is essential for dealing with challenges, right? That brings us to resilience. The book uses that proverb, fall 7 times, rise 8.
Yeah, the ability to bounce back, not give up. It's an outlook, really. Staying focused, managing the negative stuff.
But then they introduce something even beyond resilience. Anti-fragility from Nassim Taleb.
Love that concept. Things that don't just resist harm, they actually benefit from it, get stronger. Like the hydrometh cut off one head, two grow back.
So not just robust, but actually improving through stress. How does the book say you can cultivate that? They list steps, right?
Yeah, 3 main ones drawn from the source. First, create redundancies.
Like backups.
Exactly. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Multiple income streams, like the Ogimi villagers with their jobs and vegetable gardens. Or having diverse friends, varied interests, so if one area of your life takes a hit, you're not completely destabilized.
Spread the risk. Okay, step 2.
Bet conservatively in some areas, but take lots of small risks elsewhere. Think finance. Keep most of your money safe, but put small amounts into many different high-risk, high-reward ventures. You're looking for that asymmetry, small downside, potentially huge upside.
Calculated risks. Protect the core, experiment at the edges. And third,
get rid of things that make you fragile. Actively prune toxic people, bad habits, debt that weighs you down, things that just waste your time and energy and leave you vulnerable. Frame them as good riddance goals.
cut the dead weight. So anti-fragility is really about actively structuring your life to gain from shocks, not just survive them.
Precisely. It's a proactive stance. And that leads naturally into how we handle our emotions, our inner world.
Right. The book contrasts standard Western therapy, often focused on controlling emotions, with Morita therapy from Japan.
Which is more about accepting emotions, letting them be without trying to wrestle them into submission. The idea is that feelings change naturally as a result of your actions.
Like emotions are weather passing through. You can't control the rain, just observe it and decide if you need an umbrella.
Beautiful analogy they use. And that Thich Nhat Hanh quote, they include, "Hello, solitude. Come sit with me." It's about welcoming feelings, not fighting them.
And the source draws parallels between Buddhism and Stoicism here.
Yeah, it's insightful. Both aim to manage negative emotions, curb the ego, not by, stamping out all pleasure, but by preventing desires and fears from running the show.
And the Stoics had practical exercises for this, like negative visualization.
Exactly. Imagining the worst-case scenario. Not to be morbid, but to appreciate what you have now and be mentally prepared if things do go wrong. Seneca apparently practiced living simply sometimes, doing without luxuries. And then there's that core Stoic idea from Epictetus.
The control thing.
Right. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Knowing what's truly up to you, your judgments, your responses, and what isn't external events, other people's actions.
It sounds a bit like Zen meditation, observing thoughts without getting carried away.
Very similar vibe. Both traditions really emphasize impermanence too. Marcus Aurelius seeing cherished things as fragile as leaves on a tree. Seneca saying everything human-made is short-lived.
Accepting that things don't last. Which brings us back to wabi-sabi and ichigo-ichi.
Yes, wabi-sabi. Finding beauty in imperfection, in transience. The cracked cup, the moss on a scone, and ichigo-ichi. This moment, only once.
This exact moment will never come again.
Never. So it teaches intense presence. Whether it's a tea ceremony or just chatting with a friend, you give it your full attention because it's unique, unrepeatable. And wabi-sabi helps you appreciate things as they are, flaws and all. Accepting impermanence, paradoxically, makes you appreciate the present more.
And the source wraps up with insights from people who've actually lived these long lives. Like Jeanne Calment lived to 122.
Amazing. And her sense of humor. On her 120th birthday, I see badly, I hear badly, and I feel bad, but everything's fine. Apparently rode her bike till 100.
Only quit smoking at 120 because she couldn't see well enough to light up. The book says she denied herself almost nothing.
Quite a character. And then Walter Bruning, 114. His advice was simpler. 2 meals a day, keep working, keep busy. If you keep your mind and body busy, you'll be around a long time.
Simple but powerful. And the interviews with the Ogimi centenarians. What were the big takeaways there?
Several key themes emerged. Keeping your fingers busy, that idea of from your fingers to your brain and back again. Manual dexterity linked to brain health.
Staying engaged. What else?
A consistent routine, waking early, exercise, walking, diet, variety, a bit of everything, moderation. And work, staying active, not just stopping. If you don't work, your body breaks down, one said.
So retirement isn't about doing nothing. It's staying active, but maybe differently.
Seems so. Staying busy, but doing one thing at a time. Living peacefully, enjoying the little things. And crucially, social connection.
That seemed huge.
Absolutely massive. Getting along with friends, rich social life, community centers, those moai groups acting like family. Volunteering, smiling, having fun. Yuki's quote was striking. Food is the least important thing compared to connection and smiling.
That really underscores the emotional and social aspects, and the book links this positive attitude to longevity studies too.
Yeah, like that Yeshiva University study. Positivity, emotional awareness, common threads. And you see it in those artists mentioned, Hokusai, Kelly, Gary, still creating, still engaged, finding deeper clarity even in old age. Their Ikigai kept them going.
They also briefly mention Mabui, the Okinawan spirit concept.
Right, like an immortal life force, unique to you, that can even be passed down. A deep sense of self and continuity.
Okay, so if we were to quickly recap the core principles from this whole deep dive, stay active, definitely. Keep moving.
Take it slow, don't rush everything.
Don't fill your stomach, that 80% rule.
Surround yourself with good friends. Social connection is key.
Smile. Attitude matters. Appreciate the now.
Live in the moment. Let go of past regrets, future fears.
And underpinning it all, follow your Ikigai. Find and pursue that purpose.
Yeah, it's a powerful set of interconnected ideas. Simple on the surface, maybe, but profound when lived. Like that Mitsuoida haiku mentioned in the source. Happiness is always determined by your heart.
And the other one, keep going. Don't change your path. It's personal.
Very personal journey.
We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable things to think about, maybe some practical ideas you can explore in your own life. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you. It's been fascinating to discuss.
And as you mull over these ideas, here's a final thought for you. We talked about wabi-sabi and ichigo-ichi, finding beauty in imperfection and the fleeting nature of moments. How might fully embracing that very impermanence, paradoxically, make you stronger, more resilient, maybe even anti-fragile when you inevitably face life's difficulties? Something to ponder.